Hello.
Hello.
Are your legs sore?
No.
You've been roving.
I was going to tell him that he could say, "That's not yarn, Andy," and I'd say, "No, it's not. It's roving." But I should have known this is Chad. He comes preloaded with his own bad dad jokes. He's not. We don't have kids.
I guess then it's a faux pas.
Oh my God. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Adventures with Andy. Today we are not dyeing yarn.
What are we gonna do?
We're gonna dye some roving. That's right. I have dyed KnitPicks Stroll yarn before, but I've never dyed any of their roving. In fact, I've never dyed roving, period. But I did pick some up to try dyeing with. I do spin, so I've got roving and I'm familiar with it. I've just never dyed it before. And I thought, you know what? We're gonna do that today. Now, I've been really inspired by the fall leaves this year. So yeah, I don't know how many of the videos I have aired yet where I've dyed inspired by them, but yes, this is another one. If you haven't seen any yet, then you know there are more to come. If you've seen a bunch already, this could be the last one. You don't know. It's an adventure. Right?
Yeah, it's a mystery.
It's really cold out here, y'all. My brain ain't functioning. But yes, this is KnitPicks Stroll Roving. It is 100 grams. Yeah. Which means that whatever I spin it into will be 100 grams.
Funny how that works.
Funny how that works. That
You don't lose any mass when you do that.
This is 75% fine superwash merino, 25% nylon. Now this is actually going to be interesting for me to spin because I've never spun anything with nylon before.
No?
No, everything that I've spun so far has just been 100% non-superwash wool. Y'all come on in and we'll get busy dyeing this roving. Our roving has been sitting in this stock pot with just a little bit of water for a few hours now. This is just straight tap water. There's no citric acid in it. And now we're going to go ahead and add our colors to it, add our dye to it. All right, I went through and I looked at my color swatch catalog that I have built from doing the triangle acid dyes. And I picked colors that we're going to use today that I think are good fall colors for this, good autumn leaf colors. All the colors that we're using today are Jacquard acid dyes. We've got Fire Red, Aztec Gold, and Gold Ochre, which are pre-mixed dyes that you can buy straight from Jacquard. The ones that are custom mixes that we came up with, we have one that we're calling Garnet, which you can see in the first commercial acid dye triangle dyeing exercise that we did. And it is number 14 in that triangle. It is a 4-to-1 mix of Jacquard Fire Red and Jacquard Brilliant Blue. We're using a brown, which we dyed in the third commercial acid dyeing triangle exercise. And it is a 1 part Jacquard Bright Yellow, 1 part Jacquard Cherry Red, and 2 parts Jacquard Sky Blue mix. We've got an orange, which we also dyed in that third triangle exercise dyeing video, which is a 1-to-1 mix of Jacquard Bright Yellow and Jacquard Cherry Red. And then we've got a green, which we also dyed in that third video, which is a 1-to-1 mix of Jacquard Bright Yellow and Jacquard Sky Blue. I do not know if that video has aired yet at the time that we are dyeing. Well, I know it hasn't at the time we're dyeing this yarn, and I don't know if it's aired yet at the time that this video is releasing. So if you haven't seen it and you have not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that and turn on your notifications so that YouTube will hopefully alert you when that video gets released and you can see how we came up with these colors. We're using 10 milliliters of everything except for the brown and the green. And those two I just kind of eyeballed and poured a little bit out into these bowls, partly because we ran out of syringes, but also because we don't want as much of those as we do the yellow, orange, and reds. So now I'm gonna use the syringes and just sort of crisscross the colors all over on the roving. And the roving, I just put it in here. It's just kind of up and down like that to fit it in. Start with half of it. That was the orange. The first one was the orange that I did. This was the Aztec gold. And I think I need a little bit more of that in here. Put it right there. To get half of that. This one is the gold ochre. They look kind of similar, but they are different, just slightly different. This one is the Garnet, our custom color. And it's sort of a burgundy red. Got about half of that in there. And then this is the Fire Red. And you can see how it plays nicely with that garnet. And you got about half of that in there too. And I'm going to add just a little bit of the brown and the green in places. Just a tad. Okay, that was more than a tad. It's hard to control in these bowls. Alright, and now, remember we don't have any citric acid in this, okay? So I'm gonna, this is just a mason jar of very hot water. We boiled it in the electric kettle, I don't know, 10 minutes ago. Looking at the time on the camera. And it's got a half a teaspoon of citric acid in it to give us our acid component. And this is also going to give us our heat because this stock pot is not on a hot plate and the water that was in it was just cold. And it's cold out here in the garage. To take and poke down in the places that don't have any color yet. There's a knot. I had no idea. I'm not poking down hard because I don't want to felt this. Just poking down slightly. Alright, and we're going to let this just sit for a bit until... Oh, never mind. I was going to say we're going to let this sit for a bit until our dye bath exhausted, but it looks like it's fairly exhausted in places. That's good. Okay. That worked well. I was hoping that it would. Awesome. Okay, then we're going to go ahead right now. And we're going to pick this up very carefully because this is possibly still hot. And you can see we've still got a lot of white on the other side. And we're going to... This is so much easier with yarn.
That's yarn to be?
It's yarn to be, but it's not yarn yet. Okay, and I'm going to, as best I can, don't worry, this is not boiling hot or scorching hot or anything, because it was cold. That hot water over the top of it just made it warm, which is actually pretty nice out here in the cold, cold garage. All right, flip it over. open that up some. And we're going to repeat that. I always have a hard time getting these started.
Well, that orange one especially.
Yeah, it's just...
Feisty.
It really, really... Whoop. It showed me, didn't it? Mm-hmm. It's like, fine, if you're going to say that about me, then how do you feel about that, huh? Okay, that's the first one. That's the orange. Now the Aztec gold. And just doing a slightly different pattern this time for no particular reason. This is the gold ochre. Our garnet. The Fire Red. Good, put in the rest of our brown. Did not mean to put it all in one place, but that's just how it goes. Our yarn mop for this and several other yarn projects we're dyeing right now is a 20-gram mini skein of platinum sock from Dye Supplier. No, from Wool to Dye For. And that's all of our green. It's on the outside! Ah! Can I have a little more of the green? And the brown. Yes, we have more of it mixed up. Not a lot, but we've got plenty of the base dye stocks that we can mix up more with if we want to. Because I want to make sure everything gets plenty of color. I might as well just finish that off. Right? Mm-hmm. And the green. The green got used in another project already. It's basically gone. Oh my goodness, how tight did you put this on? Ah! I got it. And our green. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and we have some more of the hot water in our electric kettle. It doesn't have any citric acid in it. We're not going to worry about adding any more just yet. Then we're just going to go ahead and pour straight from the kettle onto here. Just to raise that water level, let everything have plenty of access to the dye, because we want to make sure it goes all the way through. If it ends up not, we can always do another dyeing session with it. This will also give us our heat component. And now we're going to put the lid on the stock pot. And we're just gonna let that sit. We're gonna let it cool off in the stock pot, let the dye bath exhaust that way, come back and we'll take a look and see if we need to add any more color to it or if we're happy with it the way that it is. All right, so we've got some nice color going on our roving here. The only thing is we still have a lot that doesn't have any color on it at all. This struck so much faster than I was expecting. I thought that it would sink down into these other areas. I was wrong. You know, lessons learned. It's my first time dyeing roving, so now I know. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna transfer it into this tray. I didn't have any of these yesterday, so I couldn't dye it in that then. But I went out and picked some up today. And we're gonna transfer the roving into here so that we can spread it out more and have better access to the areas that we need to put some dye on. So I'm just going to scoop it out.
I get some nice yellow in there. It's like a magician's handkerchief.
It just keeps going. Oh, we do have some green there. Yeah, we got some green in here. That's really gonna look nice, I think. And yeah, right here is that area where it was like knotted. I did not know that was gonna be there. There's lots of different ends to this. That's okay. All right, so I'm gonna start by adding in some of this color. I've got the Aztec gold, the gold ochre, our green, and our brown. I can tell which syringe has the green in it. And that's it.
The rest is kind of a mystery.
Mm-hmm. Whoops. No, actually, I think what I might do, because yeah, it's just concentrating that dye right there. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them in, this bowl's clean, right?
Yes, those bowls back there are clean.
I'm going to put this in these bowls. You can see how little dye it is when I put it in a bowl. And then, can you get me just some plain water, sir?
Yeah, dilute that a little bit.
I am. I mean, it'll still end up being a 1% dye solution because it's not the amount of dye in the water that we're putting in now that matters. It's how we mix it up. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just pour these.
I the gold ochre there.
Yeah, that's working better for me. I completely forgot about, you know, adding water in when I did this yesterday. So it was just the straight 1% dye stock that was going in, which is why we've got all these really, really deep colors here, which is fine. So we also wanted to go through as well. So that's our first one. Now for our other yellow. And hopefully this time it's going to go all the way through. Second one. switching over to our green. Just those bright little pops of color. Yeah, so you add this green in, this is really starting to say autumn leaves to me. How about you, Chad?
I think it looks good, but I mean, if Yana is talking to you, you might have been doing this a little too long. But I do think the green just helps differentiate all the different colors. You know, it helps actually set the yellows and the reds out.
And I will tell you, it looks different on camera than it does in real life. Our camera is determined that it just wants to overexpose everything. So yeah, that's happening. Whether we like it or not, that's happening. Just going to pour the rest of this on here in places.
Definitely looks a lot less like cranberry sauce.
Yes, yes it does. And now for our brown. And I want to be very judicious with the brown. I know there's a whole lot of it in here, but
those are just the branches poking through in places, right?
they are. I really kind of want to just use this for any places that look like they don't have any color yet. I'm really starting to like this. Really, really am. I'm just adding this brown to where some of the red is because it'll deepen those colors. Just put the rest of it over here where I had already put a bunch of it on.
The trunk.
Yeah, as it were. All right, now we're gonna let this sit until it looks like at least a lot of that dye bath has been absorbed before we try putting it on any heat or adding any more hot water or anything. Because I don't want to move those colors around. I want them to try to stay where they are. So we're just going to set this aside and just let it sit quite possibly overnight. Our roving's been sitting overnight and you can see the dye bath is exhausted. I know it's kind of hard to see because this is a small spoon, but yeah, it's exhausted, so it should be in our roving. But I still want to heat set it. So I've got a stock pot full of, like, it's not boiling, but you can see steam coming off it, so it's that hot. It's got some citric acid in here. And I'm just going to go ahead and very carefully pick up the roving. Oh, we still got some white. I guess we'll just have to deal with that for now, huh? Because I don't have any more of the dye mixed up handy. It'll be fine for now. And I'm going to put the roving in here. And I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to turn the hot plate off, and I'm going to walk away. I am not going to touch this. I am not going to move it while it's in the hot water. I am not going to agitate it. I'm just going to let it cool in this hot water overnight. And then I can come back out in the morning and see about washing it. And I'll show you what it looks like. All right, this is our roving so far. And as you can see, we got some really pretty colors on here. We also have a lot, and I do mean a lot, of white. I went ahead and spun some of it up. You know, that white just really overtakes it. I wouldn't mind having a little of the white in there, but that's just too much. What we're gonna do is we're going to hand paint some more of the 2 yellows directly onto the white places on the roving. Now this roving is still dry. I rinsed it, washed it, let it dry, and I've not soaked it again. It'll get plenty of moisture from us hand painting. The way we're going to do this is I'm going to start by laying out some of the roving in one of these foil trays, okay? So that we can see very easily how much white we have, where that white is. But I have mixed up some more of the gold ochre and the Aztec gold from our dye stock. I just put it in just some straight tap water. Now I'm not worried about this felting while we do this because we don't have any heat on this. It's currently early December when we're recording this, even though this is part of our ode to autumn. Technically it's not winter yet, right?
Right.
Right? And it's a little chilly out here, so we don't have to worry about heat, and we're not going to agitate it too much. We'll be careful when we dab down on here, just to keep from compressing it too much. We're going to try it with the roving dry first, and if it gives us too much trouble with it grabbing a hold of the brushes like that, then we'll go ahead and we'll put just a little bit of room temperature tap water in there just to try to wet it down. All right. Yeah, I think we are definitely going to have to get this wet. It just wants to hold on.
You just want this water?
Sure. He won't let go.
How much water do you need?
Not a lot, just enough that we can get it wet.
You lost your brush.
I did, oh no. Oh no, oh no. You lost yours too? Mm-hmm. And if it still gives us trouble, then we'll just have to pour over it. That's good. I just don't want what we're pulling from to be wet, and I don't want to overcrowd this pan because that's going to make it really hard to see what we're doing.
Let's see how that works, right?
Is it still? All right, the brushes are not going to work. Plan B. These are the syringes that I use to pull from the dye stock, and we're just going to use those. If we had squeeze bottles at hand and easy, we would do that. This will work fine though.
Just kind of hitting the different spots, right?
Mm-hmm. I have my doubts about whether it would work with the sponges, just because roving's not spun, so it doesn't have any structure to it.
You got room for another whole ball of roving in there.
I know, right? Okay, I'm going to, again, very carefully pour this, because you can see we have a ton of color left in here.
Mainly the yellows.
It's all yellow. What are you talking about? Alright. We're going to let it just sit and cold vat dye for a while before we put it in the crock pot with some water and citric acid, bring that up to temperature to set it. Our roving has set overnight and the water is completely clear, as you can see, but we still need to add some acid and some heat to this to set it. Also, can I just take a moment to say how amazing this looks now? What do you think, Chad?
I think it looks good. I think covering up the white was a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got some hot water with citric acid in here, just 1 teaspoon of citric acid. And I'm just going to transfer this over here very carefully. I'm going to squeeze out a little of the excess water if I can. Very carefully. Squeeze, don't twist.
Don't agitate.
Do not agitate. That's seriously, this just says autumn to me. All right, and I'm just going to transfer over into here. To save my fingers, we'll use the tongs just to get it down in there. And yeah, I think we could use a little bit more water in there. So let's go ahead and set up and heat up another kettle real quick. Manual spooky mode.
Mm-hmm. Is that good?
That's good. Don't worry, the lens will defog soon. All right, got the crock pot on high, plenty of hot water in here, and we're just gonna let this sit for about 15 minutes. Then we'll take it out, let it cool, and then wash it, rinse it, and we'll show you how it turned out. And here's our finished roving. This turned out so good. I love it. It looks like a pile of autumn leaves, doesn't it?
You gonna jump in it?
No, I am not.
No?
I do not jump in fall leaves. But this is exactly what I was wanting to do. Exactly the effect and the colors that I wanted to get in this roving. I'm really glad that we went back and added that extra yellow in, because I think that definitely makes a difference. That makes all the difference and gives it that autumn feel.
Oh yeah, I agree that getting rid of the white has really helped bring it to a sense of autumn.
Yeah, we do have a few places where there's still some white, like right here and here, but it is significantly less than it was before. Okay, there's a little blue there too, but it's not very much. It's the sky poking through. And that little bit of white that we have in those few places, it's not going to overtake the colors when I spin this into yarn. You know, to show you how different it looks, how much of a difference that made. This is what the yarn looked like after our initial dyeing, before we went back and put that yellow in there. And you can see it looks like just sort of a tan and white colorway, right? We just don't have much color in it at all. By comparison, this is how it spins up now.
Yeah, the one with the more white actually almost looks like just hemp rope or something.
Yeah. Whereas this one here, I mean, we've got the yellows and the reds and the oranges all working together to give that sort of autumn rust color feel. I did do one thing slightly different in how I spun this one. This first one, I just spun, you know, I took a section off the end of the roving and I just spun straight from that, and then took the two ends of what I spun, put it together, and applied it that way, so that we weren't necessarily matching the same section as it came from the roving. This one, I took a section from the roving, split that in half, right? So that I had two sections that were more similar. Sort of like, instead of taking this section here, spinning straight from here all the way down, and then plying that over top of each other. Instead, it'd be like taking this section here, splitting it in half this way, right? Spinning this half, and then plying them together so that they're more close, the plies are more close in color at that section. And I think that helped a lot too. Yeah. But you can see we've got sections here that match pretty much perfectly in that section of the strand. We do have some where we've got some barber pulling in the different colors, and that's fine, it works great. I'm also really, really, really pleased that on my first time of dyeing roving, I didn't felt it. It didn't felt. Obviously because I was able to spin it.
You were very careful about that. I
was very, very careful. Now this is superwash, so the risk of felting it is lower, but still not zero. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed watching us dye roving for the very first time, and dye it in this colorway inspired by the gorgeous autumn leaves in the trees around our yard. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything that we try here. And we will see you on our next adventure. Bye everybody. Say bye, Chad.
Bye everybody.
Bye.